Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's February 15th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented as always by Life Wallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. And Matt, Miami's taken charge of a recruiting situation that is evolving in the state of Texas, and one that I am very impressed to see, unfolding, because I remember last June when they had the Manny Diaz summer camps at Miami, and I went out there one day, and there was a kid that he just looked different, man. I mean, just like was flat different. I mean, looked like a college football player already. He was only a high school junior, was by far the most impressive player at any Manny Diaz summer camp session that I saw last year. And through the football season and the ho-hum approach to recruiting and everything else, things kind of never seem to catch hold. And I'm talking about David Hicks. He's a defensive end from Texas, a 5-star prospect, no matter what recruiting site or service is ranking him. And like I said, just an absolute beast, this kid. High motor, clearly wants to be a great player, goes full speed every rep. And his dad brought him down to the camp, and his dad has always liked Miami. And Miami seemed to have some decent inroads back then. And then everything just went to crap. And Miami no longer had inroads. Well, here we are, 8 months later. Miami has inroads again. And Mario Cristobal has picked up the case. He is communicating with David Hicks on a daily basis. I'm sure Joe Salavea is soon to follow. And Miami will be, without question, giving the recruitment of David Hicks its fair shake for sure. And he's talking about visiting Miami here in the month of March, I believe it was. And Matt, it's great to see the Canes. We talk about it seems daily, and that's because it's applicable daily. And Miami's recruiting at a very intense level everywhere in the country, and it's nice to see they've made their way to Texas and David Hicks.
Well, David Hicks was reoffered pretty quickly after Mario Cristobal took the job with good reason. If there wasn't some kid named Manning on the list for 2023, he'd be the #1 overall recruit, regardless of position in the whole country. And he was at the Paradise Camp last June. Paradise Camp, for those that aren't aware, doesn't exist anymore. They've done away with the Paradise Camp, and it is now the Legends Camp. So Mario Cristobal isn't just taking over the program, he's taking over the naming rights. I think it's actually, I believe the full name is the Life Wallet Legends Camp. Am I right, Gary?
Not yet, but by June it might be.
So anyway, Mario Cristobal has been texting David Hicks daily, and I don't know. I know Mario Cristobal has hired a great staff. Maybe he needs the great staff because he doesn't have any free time, because it seems like every recruit I talk to is getting daily, minute-by-minute texts from Mario Cristobal, texting conversations every day with Mario Cristobal, phone conversations, and FaceTimes with Mario Cristobal. I've never honestly seen anything like it. Maybe his brother Luis now looks like him completely, and they are just pretend that Luis is Mario. I don't know. But I've never seen anything quite like this, where the head coach is so intimately involved with every recruit that I've talked to that's gotten an offer, and it's refreshing. But with a guy like David Hicks, I flat out asked him. I said, "Listen, you made the top 11. Miami wasn't in it. You've been talking to Mario Cristobal a lot. If you had a new top 11, would Miami be in it?" And he didn't say yes or no. He just said he'll have another top 11 at the end of his academic year, and he has to visit first, which is an honest answer. And I know Miami fans would love him to say, "Oh, of course, Miami is in my top 11." But this is the challenge, right? He's not announcing until the Under Armour game. He's going to enroll probably early. So he'll enroll somewhere right after that, similar to what we saw with Cyrus Moss situation. And fans, everyone wants to know right now where, that Miami, he's going to wind up a Miami Hurricane. Miami's in great shape. He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know. He has to take a lot of visits. He has to see how teams do this season. There's recruits who are complaining about, Kermani McLean has told us and told other sites, he's upset that there's all this coaching turnover because he wants to pick a program where he feels a connection, not just to the program, but to the coaches recruiting him, which makes sense. And it's very frustrating to recruits when they realize I might go somewhere and by January or February, I might have a different position coach. It's insane. The transfer portal may as well be for coaches now. They should just put coaches' names in the transfer portal because it's almost as much turnover percent-wise as players. And it's difficult for a recruit. And the good thing for Miami is Mario Cristobal can say, I'm just starting here, I'm staying here. Mario's not going anywhere, right? So it's great that Mario's recruiting kids personally, because if it was a position coach, listen, I can't sit here and say, honestly, I think any of the position coaches they've hired, as good as those guys are still going to be here a year from now because they're that good. The bad coaches are the ones who stay or stick around because they don't have any other options, right? So, a position coach wants to be a coordinator. A coordinator wants to be a head coach. In the past, those progressions happened at Miami, and they should still happen, and that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. But for recruits, I think it's great that Mario's taking a hands-on approach because they can say, hey, at least that guy's going to be there.
Yeah, and I like the fact that Mario's taken this one on his own here to start out at least. I mean, like I said, eventually Salavea, and there's a decent chance that there will be a defensive ends coach that I imagine would also assume the recruitment of David Hicks. That coach has not been named yet, but I am expecting one of the remaining coaching slots that are left to go to a defensive ends coach. They've got really two open slots left. I think that you'll have one be a defensive ends coach. I think you'll have one possibly be a linebackers coach, and we'll see how that goes. But I expect the defensive ends coach to join Mario Cristobal in the pursuit of David Hicks. But yeah, a lot happening in recruiting. It seems like every day we throw a few more out at you, and that's by design. There's an
right. Yeah, in the past, hasn't it been? There's always a list, right? A certain number, 50 kids, 70 kids that are sort of the high target that have offers. Yeah, the list it's endless. I'm still going. Kids are in school, right? So a lot of times the easiest time to get them is over the weekend. Then you try to fill in some stories during the week and the evenings, of course. But I'm still trying to get through the list of offers they've given out. Usually I'm doubling back by now to the kids who got an offer 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't have time. Look, I'm like Mario Cristobal. I don't have time in my day to keep circling back and doing all the new kids. I mean, well, I shouldn't say like Mario. Mario does everything somehow. I can't do everything like Mario is what I should have said. I'm not Mario Cristobal. But yeah, we're still reporting on new offers that have gone out even a couple of 2 or 3 weeks ago because we're trying to catch up and see the ones that are interested in Miami, do stories on them for you guys, right? It's off the hook, off the chain. Am I dating myself? It's one of those off the somethings. It's off the something.
But it's a new day. It's a new day at Miami, and now I'm referring specifically to Nathan Ifibi. He's from Cummings, Georgia, and this is an interesting story because his coach is like a big Miami proponent. Didn't go to Miami or anything like that. Just likes Miami and likes Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal as offensive line coaches. And he is very strongly recommending to Nathan that he look at Miami and possibly end up at Miami because he thinks that Nathan will get the best offensive line coaching that he could get of any school at Miami. So we've got that story for you today. You can check that out on the website. Topic of note, Miami has set their summer camp schedule for 2022. Looks very similar to what they've done in the past under Manny Diaz, quite frankly, with O-line, D-line camps on the 4th and the 11th that also include 7-on-7 competitions. Then on the 15th, they're going to bring in 9th through 12th graders and junior college transfers. That'll be a little bit more, it might be an okay camp.
Oh, the weird, okay, so sorry to interrupt, but The junior college / transfers camp, that's going to confuse some people. And just to sort of make it clear, can you hear me okay, by the way? Because I see you have
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I guess I have the schedule up there. So just to make it clear, the reason that's there, this isn't really a camp per se for those kids. What that means is there's a period of time where you're allowed to actually bring those kids on campus and individually work them out. And I think that's what that is. It's not just they're thrown in with the 9th and 12th graders. It's not going to be that. It's they're going to get worked out by individual coaches sort of on the side, and Miami can make evaluations. Hey, this kid's going to help us or not. I believe that's what it's going to be.
All right. And then on the 25th, they're going to have the Legends Camp, which is the renamed Paradise Camp. So let's talk for a minute, Matt, about why Mario Cristobal would change the name of the Pinnacle Camp, the elite camp at Miami, from Paradise Camp to Legends Camp. Your thoughts?
Well, obviously, because it's not Paradise here. I mean, why else would you change the name? No, I'm just kidding. It is Paradise.
It's Paradise. That's not what Mario Cristobal wants to be about.
It's Mario's big message, and he keeps saying it over and over again, and every media opportunity he gets is this isn't about tweets. This isn't about what we're calling things. And he's obviously, it's like Joe Biden not wanting to say Donald Trump's name or something like that. He just doesn't want to say Manny Diaz's name. He doesn't want to say, I don't want what Manny Diaz did. But that's obvious. That's what he's saying. And it's never been clearer than renaming the Mark Richt Manny Diaz camp. Like, this is their staple. This is what they thought that their legacy was going to be at Miami when they created it. It was going to be the greatest camp in the country. It was going to be Paradise Camp. Everyone wants to come. And it didn't work. And so it's been rebranded by Mario Cristobal. And now this is Mario Cristobal's chance to make this the new legacy at Miami, his new legacy at Miami, which hopefully will last through the next, 100 years and the next however many coaches that are here. That still be the new name of the camp, assuming it's a success. Because it doesn't make sense to keep a camp associated with a regime, which I keep calling regime. I don't know what else to say. That was a failure. That's the only way you can term what's happened over the last 18 years, however many years you want to phrase it. It's been a failure because the definition of success at Miami is not what's happened with one 10-win season in the last, was it 17 years, 18 years, whatever it's been. That's not success, right? That's failure for Miami Hurricane. So good for Mario Cristobal. There's no doubt he's got guts, but everyone knows he has guts, and he's willing to put it all out there. He's rebranding everything in his own way, and he doesn't care about it. He's not going to make a big deal about it. No hashtag TNM. There's no every coach has to tweet out when a kid silently commits. You're not going to see that. If a kid wants to make a public commitment, they'll send that out, but they're not going to send out these mysterious tweets anymore that let fans know, hey, somebody great committed, but we can't tell you who, because it's silent. That's not going to happen under this regime. This is a business-like, real approach to college football.
Let me tell you, I'm as guilty as anybody. Right now, I'm sitting here with a background that includes the lake in the middle of campus. I see, there's palm trees behind me, new dorms. It's a beautiful site, the Miami campus in the middle of Coral Gables. And it's an asset when recruits come. Let's be honest, it's prettier than a lot of campuses. Some have things going for them, but if you've been to Florida and Florida State, this is prettier than Florida and Florida State, in my opinion, at least. But that's not what Mario Cristobal wants the focus to be on. He wants the focus to be on the football product. And where the legends come in are the players that have walked the building and the practice field before the current players. He wants them to feel that history. He wants them to feel the obligation, the burden, the responsibility to be like the legends that have come before them. And that is why he has renamed this camp Legends Camp. It's a rebranding. It's he does talk about how it's not about slogans and things like that. And he's right. But they're really, in terms of a name, Legends is not that distinctly different from Paradise. But the meaning behind it is totally different. And it's just part of the tone that Mario Cristobal is looking to set for this Miami program right now. And I like it. It's not gimmicky at all. I mean, there's going to be a lot of legends there, and the focus is going to be on them and not the palm trees. And that's just the way the new head coach wants it. So that's the camp schedule coming together. The spring practice schedule has also now come together for the Hurricanes. And the first spring practice is going to be March the 7th. And then they're going to go Monday, March 7th, Wednesday, March 9th, Friday, March 11th. Then they will take a break for almost 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks. And they'll resume after spring break on Tuesday, March 22nd, Thursday, March 24th, Saturday, March 26th. Then come back Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. The next week, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, the week after that. And then Tuesday, Thursday with the spring game in Fort Lauderdale on April the 16th. And Matt, it's an interesting way that Miami has done its spring practices, no matter who the coach is, with a week and then a week off, essentially. I'm not sure it really matters, but, they've had the build up to the start of spring with all the training. They call it fourth quarter program now. Then they practice for 3 days, and then they take the next 10 days off. It's a little unconventional, but probably nothing to stress out about if you're a Miami fan.
Well, they've always had to do that because otherwise you're pushing it almost to May. You have to push everything back almost 2 weeks. It just wouldn't make sense. And truth be told, it's not the end of the world. The first week they're getting their feet under them, learning the plays, learning what the coaches expect. They have a week to process that, to maybe go over some of those things they did right, things they did wrong. Coaches can sort of go over in more depth that 1 week of film, because it's a lot to process for new coaches anyway. I don't see it being a problem whatsoever having a week off. I know some fans aren't in favor of it, but to push things to May, now you're screwing up sort of your summer. You want to get the kids in. That's basically 2 less weeks of summer conditioning and workout program, right? Because right when stuff ends in April, what is it? April 16th, I think, is the spring game, right? Then they can get right into the next phase a few days later. So if you're pushing that till April 28th, April 30th, it would be somewhere in there. Otherwise, you're really just losing 2 weeks where these kids can just be working on getting bigger, faster, and stronger coming off spring practice.
And you're also screwing the ACC, which on the ACC network has the slot for you to televise your spring game. And so that's part of it as well. All right. And obviously part of that spring game is going to be the spring depth chart. And we take a shot today at projecting what that depth chart might look like in April, and pretty comprehensive look at it at that. And Matt, it's not the easiest thing in the world, really, to dig into the defensive depth chart, because there's just a lot of uncertainty. I mean, even when you look at the starting defensive linemen, if you're going to project the first team, I mean, none of that is etched in stone, including Jared Harrison-Hunt or Leonard Taylor or Jafari Harvey. We're taking a stab and saying Jacob Lickenstein, because he's a little bit older, is going to start over Nigel Lee Kelly at an end. But not a lot of proven depth, not a lot of proven starters. The defense is really going to be a work in progress. And it'll really start on the first day of spring practice, Matt.
Right. The reason I'm more optimistic about the defense this year than last year. And last year I told you guys I didn't think it was going to be a good defense. I flat out said that, and unfortunately I was correct. This year I think this will be an average defense. Last year I thought it was going to be a below average defense. Okay. This year I think it's going to be an average defense, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I think the offense is going to be so good. And I think the offensive play style and the way they're going to call the plays and sort of let the play clock run down a little more than hurrying up will also help the defense. I know some fans say, 8 or 10 plays, who cares for defensive players? Well, that's 8 or 10 plays that pretty much all the backups are going to need to play, because you need your starters as much as possible. So anything beyond what they can do, those maybe 50 or 60 plays, is pushing it. You got to remember, guys have to stay healthy the whole year. You really don't want some of these backups in the game that much. I'm just sorry. That's the issue on defense, is really the depth, because I think Leonard Taylor and Jared Harrison-Hunt at defensive tackle, I think that's a really good starting two. I'm not sold on Antonio Moultrie or Jordan Miller, obviously. I think Jacob Lickenstein is going to be good. He could also play on the inside. And I think Lickenstein, and then you get a Jafari Harvey, obviously didn't wow anybody last year, but he played, he's serviceable. And then you get some young guys. I think Cyrus Moss and Nigel Lee Kelly will have immediate roles. I saw Cyrus Moss, and he's super lanky. He needs to put on a lot of weight, but he's got that look almost of a Calais Campbell, just real long, lanky. He needs to add a lot of weight. Calais came in heavier than him, but he has that look at 6'6". I mean, he's all of 6'6". And then at linebacker, I think Wesley Bassaint's going to have an immediate role, even though he also needs to gain weight, obviously, and get healthy. He's a little banged up heading into spring ball. And you got a bunch of, you got 4 guys back with experience. Chase Smith has to get healthy, but there is talent to work with at linebacker. It should not be worse than last year. Certainly shouldn't be, because you have all your starters back if you really wanted to use them, which I'm not sure they should, based on last year's play at linebacker, but that's to be determined. And then at DB, you have Tyreek Stevenson back. He's only going to be better with another year, and he was really good last year. James Williams maybe can move down to linebacker. If not, he's a great safety. Cam Kinchen showed last year he's a tackle machine when he's healthy. And he may not be able to play in the spring because of injury, but yeah, I don't think he's going to play in the spring, believe it or not. But he's going to be solid when he's healthy. Then you got Marcus Clark, showed some good things at corner. So the DB, I honestly think is probably going to be the strength of the defense. And I think the linebackers will still be the weakness, but they'll be better. I think the defensive line's going to be better, but still won't be great. And that's just how I sort of assess things. I don't know if you disagree with any of that.
Well, it's not that I disagree. I just think that, we have some fun today. We take a stab at the depth chart. You'll see it. I think it's going to look different by the fall. I think that they're going to hit the transfer portal. I think they're going to be looking for at least one more linebacker, maybe 2. I think they're going to be looking.
Well, that's what this spring's about, right? They got to figure out what they need. Yeah, 100%.
No doubt. And they're going to need things. And they're going to be looking in the portal for guys that can come in and help right away this season. So we'll see what happens. But it's fun going through this exercise now, going into spring. Gives you guys a look, at what you're going to be watching in the spring game and what you're going to be seeing us report in the weeks leading up to it. And then we'll assess everything and we'll see what the needs are in the portal. And I'm sure we'll have plenty to cover when Miami goes back into the portal again. This is going to be a very active next 6 months without question. And this team, we have no idea really what it's going to look like in September. And that's kind of fun, because it needs to get better. There's no doubt about it. So we'll see what happens there. In the meantime, let's take a quick break and hear from our friends at Life Wallet. And today, I think we'll go to Morgan and Tyler.
Hey, Morgan, what are you going to do?
I have to go to practice.
Me too.
Well, don't forget your Life Wallet.
Oh my gosh, I always forget my Life Wallet.
You forget everything.
I can't go anywhere without my Life Wallet.
Life Wallet. Saving time, saving lives.
So admit it, everybody that watches this show, Life Wallet's become a household name. The marketing aspect of this NIL is working. Nobody would, if they weren't doing these NIL deals and doing these commercials and promoting these players like they are, nobody would have a clue what Life Wallet is. And it's working. It shows you marketing works. And, so continued applause for John Ruiz and what he's doing for the football program. All right. Also today, we take a look at the Hoops team, and they won again, and they keep winning, and they are in the thick of the ACC race and are not in a bad spot. And that's something that we take a look at today as they head into the home stretch of the season. Miami is 1 game behind Duke and Notre Dame. They beat Duke. So if they can erase that 1 game deficit, they would win a tiebreaker with Duke. Notre Dame's also in there at 11-3 in the conference with Duke. Miami is at 10-4. So when you look at the remaining games on the schedule, there's 6 of them left. Miami goes to on the road to Louisville. And Louisville's been struggling a little bit, but that's not going to be an easy game. Anytime you go on the road, it's difficult. And, Louisville's capable of giving them a tough game. So that's up next here, very, very soon. It's actually on Wednesday. And then on Saturday, they play Virginia at home. That's the biggest remaining game to my eye. I mean, Virginia beat them back on February the 9th, by a score of 71-58. And Miami kind of got ambushed in that game. And now they get a chance for revenge on their home court. I think they'll be better prepared this time. And it'll be interesting to see how they do against Virginia at home. To me, that game is a one to circle. It is a great barometer to just see what kind of prospects Miami might have as it goes into the ACC tournament, and even more importantly, March Madness, because I think they are on course to make the NCAA tournament as well. After Virginia, they got Pitt, Virginia Tech, Boston College, and Syracuse, and very manageable schedule. There's no question about it. And when you look at Virginia Tech is middle of the pack, 7-7. Syracuse is 7-7. Pittsburgh is 5-10. So there's manageable games in there going down the stretch. Of Boston College is 4-9. So if Miami can get past Louisville on the road and then can find a way to claw out this game against Virginia, they are a legit contender for the ACC title, the regular season title going into the ACC tournament. So that'll be interesting to watch here in the coming days and next few weeks. So that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. A lot for you guys to digest on the website. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you all again tomorrow morning. Have a great day, everybody.